Live. Hey, everybody, we're going live. We're just going to wait a couple minutes to see everyone hop on. So if you guys can see me, hear me, just write in the chat so that I know that we are good, because the other day we had some technical glitches and I just want to make sure that we're good today. So yes, so just write in the chat if you can see and hear me. Elena, can you see and hear me?
I can see you and I can hear you.
Okay, good. Good. Because I know there's always a delay with this. So
yeah, there really is.
Okay. All right. So if you guys come on, you can just type in the chat, let us know that you're here so that we can, chat with you. But we're going to probably get started here. And I just wanted to welcome everybody first and foremost. I was at this amazing wisdom circle last night, and I wanted to share that one of the things that was brought up was in the circle was 2016 really being the year of forward movement, and how important it is, especially for us women out there, to really, really, really be able to step into courage, to step into our truth, to step into our wisdom, to really bring forth so that we can create this momentum. And courage for me is going to be a big thing in 2016. And I think that we can't get to anything that we want without courage. So I'm just going to introduce myself, and then I'll have Elena introduce herself, and then we can get started. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Suzanne Hanna, and I'm a psychotherapist, I'm a spiritual coach, I'm a holistic health practitioner, but most important, I am the founder and the creator of the Wilderness Walk Experience, which is a life-changing journey into our own internal wilderness, into all the places that scare us, that frighten us, that we avoid, that we deny. And so what I do is I lead people on that journey, and I am very excited because Elena and I are doing the next one together that starts in just less than a week, Elena. I can't freaking believe it.
I know.
So welcome, everybody. And Elena, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. This is Elena Lipson, and I'm the Divine Self-Care Mentor and founder of the Divine Self-Care Circle Mastermind, which is a year-long journey to becoming the #1 asset in your life, business, and the bedroom. And it's my passion, and it's what I think about all the time. And I just love talking about self-care and how really, like, which came first, the chicken or the egg, the courage or the self-care, and they're both really intertwined. So I'm very aligned with the one that Suzanne is doing with the Wilderness Walk, and really excited to be part of it for the Costa Rica retreat program.
Yes, yay! So I wanted to start out and talk a little bit. There's a Maya Angelou quote that I absolutely, absolutely love. And the quote goes like this. It says that courage is the most important of all virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. And I love that, because if you think about it, it's true. You can't practice love. You can't practice patience. You can't practice kindness without courage, vulnerability without courage. And I think that courage is a staple for all of us if we're looking to have any kind of forward movement. So courage is going to be big for you, Elena. And I'm curious for you, how has courage played a role in your life?
Well, I do agree. You need courage to do anything. You need that bit of spark to decide you're going to take that step. You're going to put on your sneakers and go to the gym. You're going to take that leap and buy that URL and start that business you've been dreaming of. So for me, it's been really about, well, what do I need to do every day to generate that courage? And for me, it's been rituals and self-care practices, and so much about the work that you have created in the Wilderness Walk. So courage is to really create a life that we want to live and are proud of.
Absolutely. And I think, one of the things that comes up for me a lot, and I talk to people that I work with about this, is that courage equals aliveness. So when we're stepping into courage, or we're leaning into discomfort, or we're saying yes to something that we're afraid of, we're actually coming alive. And one of the ways that we know that is if you think about any time that you're about to make a big decision. And I would love, Elena, for us to start with this and just, I want everybody to close their eyes for just a minute. And I want you to think about some type of decision in your life that you have, that has come up recently, that brings maybe up some anxiety or some fear or some trepidation, or you're really afraid of making the decision. And if you think about that and you bring it into your mind, what happens is you notice that your heart starts to beat faster. And you notice that your stomach might start to turn, or you might notice some tension in your body. And I think it's really important to think about that all of that feeling, all of that sensation is part of the aliveness. And I think what we do, or we have a tendency to do, is to run from that and to move away from that. And what we really want to do is we want to move towards it. We want to lean into it. We want to get to a place where we can stay with it long enough without going into resistance, without going into shutdown, without going into overwhelm. And I think that's what's really important. That's what I think we're all called to do. And in the wilderness walk, it's all about stepping out of your comfort zone. It's all about going into those places that scare us so that we can expand, so that we can grow, so that we can evolve. And Elena, what do you tell people with your clients and everybody that you work with when they're at that point, or they're at that precipice where they're about to make a big decision, but they're just afraid to?
So many things. First of all, the understanding that it's absolutely natural to have that physical reaction when you're about to make a change, when you're about to step into something that you really, really, really want. And then really getting to know and understand what happens when you make that decision is where we start to dance, right? So it's totally natural to experience fear, totally natural to experience all the reasons why you shouldn't do this. I mean, I feel like as an entrepreneur, we experience it so often. So we need to learn how to dance with that what happens in that moment. Am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? Figuring out how do you gauge that process. So when I work with clients, it's really about awareness of the process. How do you know what a yes is in your body, or a no? And how do you honor that? Because not every decision is for you. And when I invite people into my programs or something like this, I would say, yes, and the fear will be there. But if it's a no and the fear is there, it's not for you. But when you're feeling that pull, I'm like, I don't know why. I just want to do this. I have to feel that this is the next step in my journey, and I feel the fear, and that's good because it's natural. Fear comes up with change for sure.
Yeah, I love that. And I think I want to tell everybody a tiny story that happened the other day. There was a woman who came and decided she wanted to sign up for the wilderness walk. And I had a phone conversation with her, and she said to me, I almost didn't do it. She said, because, it was such a big decision. And she said, I started thinking about all the reasons why it wouldn't be a good time, and why I shouldn't, do this. And maybe there are other people out there that can do it, but I can't do it. So I asked her, I said, well, what made you make the final decision to do it? And she said, which I love, I thought it was so brilliant. She said, well, I thought about waiting for the next one. And she said, but then I thought I will be putting my life on hold in some way, shape, or form, waiting. And what I could do now, I would be putting off for another 6 months, or I'd be putting off for another year. And I thought about how often we do that, when we put things off and we stay in a state of waiting, and we're just stuck. And we feel like, well, I can get to it at some point, or whatever, maybe when I have better finances or more resources, or I have more time, or whatever. And we come up with all the litany of excuses, and we stay stuck in that place of waiting. And I think about it almost like a stone wall, right? That stands between us and our desires. And the only way to get to our desires is by beginning to remove the stones from the stone wall so we can get through. But we can't do that if we stay in a state of waiting, or if we stay in a state of stagnancy. So do you come across that a lot, where people say that, I'll get to it, or maybe later, or maybe another time? And what do you say to them when that happens?
Absolutely. And I always ask, well, why? You know, what's going to be different in 6 months? And just having that conversation, I think one of the most powerful parts of having someone reflect back to you who can really see you and who knows the process of human nature and is also compassionate. There's been times where I've been so scared to do something that I really, really want to do, and times where I haven't done it, and times where I have done it. And so I can feel the difference. So I think the main thing is starting to have that conversation. So even questioning yourself, I really want this, but the time isn't right. Ask the next question. When will the time be right? Well, a year from now. Well, what's going to be different a year from now? Oh, the money. Okay, well, let's talk about that a little bit. You know, just really having that conversation is where I think the blooming happens. And so if someone's considering this or any other decision, I would say, like, be honest, ask the question. Because I know for me, when I've chosen not to do something and I really, really wanted to, I never remember even how much it cost. I just remember that I didn't do it.
Exactly.
Like, oh, I really wanted to do that. Why didn't I do it? I don't even know how much what was it? I don't care. And when you do something that you really, really want to do, you do forget how much it was. Like maybe you remember the number, but it always leads to something bigger, better, more amazing, more on purpose. So it's having that conversation with yourself.
Yeah, and I love that you said that, because I think about that too. And she mentioned this when we were talking. She said, because I look at it as, you know, if 6 months from now or a year from now, and I look back, will I regret that I didn't do it? And I think about all of our lives, and we look back on things and we said, oh, I woulda, shoulda, coulda. You know, I could have done it then, or, you know, I could have, you know, saved myself more time, or I might have been in a better place, or whatever the situation is. But what I would really love to encourage everybody, no matter what it is in your life, whether it's in your relationships or your business or anything, your finances, think about all the areas in your life that you are just waiting for something to happen, waiting for the right time, waiting for the right person. And I think what we have to stop doing collectively and globally is to start living. And the only way to do that, remember, is courage equals aliveness, is really, really tapping into that. And I don't know if any of you guys know about Brene Brown is starting this great new course starting on Monday about courage and cultivating courage. And I think, you know, she talks about how it is so important at this time that we really, really, really start to tap into those inner resources. Because I say to my clients, it takes courage just to walk out of your front door every day. You don't know what's going to happen on the other side of that door, but yet you do it because you have a purpose. You're going to work, or you need to go to the store, or you need to get something. You have some purpose that gets you outside of that door every day, even though uncertainty waits on the other side. And we have to start living our lives like that. We have to start living our relationships like that, our businesses like that. So that's something that is really important. And Elaine, I know in your business, you and I talk about how you really need courage even in self-care. And since the Next Wilderness Walk journey has that component in it, why do you feel you need courage just to engage in a daily practice of self-care?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because I've been thinking about this since we started this conversation, like which is first, truly which is first. I don't know the right answer. There's not a one definite first. What I do know is that you need both. Like when I wake up in the morning, it takes courage to do my routine, but it also, that routine generates more courage. So it's a beautiful cycle that happens. It generates resilience, it generates enthusiasm, and so I have that fire to keep going, right? To generate more courage. Oh, that felt good. I think I'm going to do that again. So I think it's a reinforcing cycle. It takes courage to get out of my bed, in my warm, cozy, furry bed, you know, and to do what I need to do, which makes me feel good, which then reminds me that I want to do it again. It anchors that, like, yes, I have the courage to do this. It feels good. I'm going to do it again. So that's how habits are built, one day at a time. One little courageous step at a time. One day of ritual at a time, and then you look back 6 months from now and say, I am so proud of myself. Wow, if I can do that, what else can I do? And then it generates more courage. It's like this cycle.
Right. And was something you did recently really resonated big time with me, because I thought, wow, it took a lot of courage for you to really walk your talk in the last couple of weeks. Well, in the last couple of weeks before your launch, and to take that time off and to really unplug. And I thought that takes a lot of courage. But it really, what you're doing is you're aligning with what you say it works and what you say is your purpose. And I think that that's really important, because even in doing that, it takes courage. What was your process with that?
So the way I booked it, I have a 6-week launch, but then 2 weeks of that, my son is off and my niece is visiting. And so I decided I'm going to just play. Those are one of my sacred sort of core words. I have core containers that I teach people, and play is one of mine. Presence is one of mine. And I don't want to be with my family and my mind is somewhere else. Right? So we all know that feeling. So I sat down with myself and I was journaling, and I thought, you know what? What I know to be true is that when I am aligned, when I am feeling good, when I am rested, when I am nourished, I show up so much better to webinars, to my emails, to interact with clients. I just do. I feel better. I feel better. I'm relaxed. I'm not in that panicky, oh my God, I'm launching mode, which I did get into a little bit. And I just thought, you know what? I have to step back and really, really embody what I teach, which is to take deep care of yourself on all levels. And it was phenomenal. I came back and I knew that first week of January was going to be amazing. And it has been. I had enrollments. I had amazing webinar. I am writing emails. I hired someone to do elements that I knew I didn't want to do. So it sort of re-nourished that part of me. And it did take courage, because I'm like, oh my God, money and this. And if I don't do it, who else will? And ultimately, I came out of that sort of nourishing space, just rejuvenated and ready to go. And that's what I teach. I'm at a hotel room right now. This is the last few days of my launching my program, which starts, also next week. And it takes courage to do that too, because I'm investing in myself. I am giving myself, I'm pre-celebrating. Yes. Which I totally, guide my clients to do. But yeah, thank you for saying that, because it really validates for me that yes, people are watching and they need to see that it can be nourishing and easeful. And it's still hard work. And I still get to take care of me at this level.
Yeah. And one of the things that I also talk about, and I think it's important to mention when it comes to courage, is that when you're about to make these big decisions and you're leaning into that discomfort and you're leaning into that fear, in order to not stay stuck, it's something that's really important for everyone to know, is that our ego's job actually is to protect us. But by doing so, it talks us out of our growth, right? So it keeps us stuck, not because it's saying, well, I don't want you to grow, but because there's a fear of annihilation. There's a fear of, not having the ego. So there's a fear of that death. So you talked about having these gremlins, which I think is really, really important, because the moment we get close to making a big decision, we have all of that mind chatter that starts around, you shouldn't do it, you can't do it, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough time, what will other people think? And I think that comes up for people a lot, and we go into a state of panic. And then that panic, again, keeps us stuck and keeps us in stagnation. And I think we have to really normalize this, because it happens to all of us. I mean, I can't, you had told me a story the other day about when you wake up in the morning that gremlin comes, and then it dissipates when you get into divine alignment. So what would you say to people around that and around those inner voices that also helps us to keep us stuck and keeps us stagnant?
Yeah, I think the key thing that you had said is normalize it. It is so normal. You don't have to be a student of psychology. You just have to be a human being to remember, wait a minute, every time I make a decision that's a little scary, I start getting that doubt that comes up. I call it the gremlin. That's how I teach it. I have the gremlin and the goddess. I wake up with the gremlin every single day. I just do. And the little gremlin is telling me, stay in bed. It's so cozy and warm. I don't want to do that. It's too much work. And then I know when I get done with my morning routine, I'm like, I'm ready to go, and I'm in goddess mode. So what I would say is just really come to expect that sort of trickster gremlin type of personality that we all have in us, every single one of us. I haven't met one person that doesn't make a decision and instantly for a second at least doubt it. But what we have to do, the ones who move forward, totally learn to do this, is you first of all recognize it, acknowledge it, like, oh, there you are, I hear you, I see you, I just made this decision, and now you're telling me the reasons why I shouldn't. You know what, I got this, I got it. Here's your little bowl. Mine likes berries, so I give him berries and I move on. So I stay playful with it. So I'm joking around, but I'm actually very specific and playful with it, because if I gave power to that voice, I wouldn't do anything. And I have a lot of work to do in this world. So my gremlin gets to be there, but not drive, not make decisions. It gets to remind me. And sometimes that voice is there to maybe keep you safe, right? Like, wait a minute, have you considered this? Let's think about it. Let's think it through. Let's, maybe not spend all your money on this. Like, make a different decision. So sometimes there's a voice that will keep you safe in a big way. So you just have to learn how to navigate that, and then it becomes a matter of just getting to know how you feel in a yes, how you feel in a no, and then regardless of the size of the decision, like if you're deciding, here's a funny, like if you're deciding between sushi and Thai food, as soon as you decide sushi, you're like, that's good, right? Whenever you decide between two things, you're giving something up, and that's what that little gremlin is there to remind you, and that's okay, because that's navigating your own personal preferences, and it's natural and normal.
Yeah, I love that, and I think you're right. I mean, it's important for us all to recognize how common that is, and I love what you just said about really knowing what your yes is and really knowing what your no is. And I think the only way to do that is when we really get to know our core truth. And we really get to know ourselves at a very, very deep level, because there's big difference when we're saying no because of somebody else or something else, because we're afraid, as opposed to, no, this is a real no, and I really feel it in my body and in my gut. But you're not going to know the difference between a yes and a no until you've really done the work to get to your core truth and get to know yourself at that core level. And Elaine, I wanted to talk a little bit about, and I want everybody on the webinar to think about this and think about the most common excuses that you use when it comes to making some of these big decisions, when it comes to stepping into courage. And the biggest one that I hear is, I don't have enough. That is the biggest excuse that I hear. And all I hear when I hear somebody say that is a lot of lack consciousness, and that feeling of depletion, and that feeling of less than, and that feeling of unworthiness, because we say we don't have enough time, we don't have enough resources, we don't have enough opportunities. And so we keep generating and we keep recreating not enoughness. And I think what we have to look at is how that keeps us small, how that keeps us stuck, and how that keeps us contracted. And we have to think about, how can we become more a part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem. And I was saying this to a friend of mine the other day. I said, if you're going to create a story, create a good one, because our imagination, right, is a huge source of our creativity, but we always go to the worst case scenarios. We always have that catastrophic thinking. So not enough is a huge one. Do you hear that a lot?
I do, and I really have learned to flip the script a little bit in conversations with my clients. Even, the ones who are already working with me and are already invested in making other decisions. So I don't know if I should do this or not. And so one of the big excuses I hear, even with people who want to work with me, I can't afford it. So what we explore is flipping the script is, okay, well, let's ask this differently. What if you asked it this way? How can I afford it? And then you start exploring it from there. What am I already spending money on that I really don't want to? Well, if I needed to make this much money in the next month, how could I? What am I not doing that I really want to be doing that could bring in more income? And then we start exploring. And so that's that positive mindset that really can open new doors. I ask myself that all the time. Like, I want to go to Italy for the summer with my family. I can't afford it. That's a lot of money. I can't afford that. Or I'm like, okay, how can I afford that? What can I generate in my business that's already running that I can do that? And I know, I say that in my business, and I know that different people have different financial situations. I also know that when you really want something, and it's important, asking yourself, how can I afford that? That is so crucial and powerful. But the second excuse that I hear often, especially with women, is, and it's actually subtle, not exactly like this, but it's about having permission from someone else. That's so subtle, and I know this one. I have it too. I didn't realize I had it because my husband is so supportive. 99.9% everything I do. Yeah. But I still do this where I go to say, I'm doing this. On the inside, I'm waiting to say that sounds great. To me, that's permission. No, he doesn't say yes or no, but it's like permission. So now I'm very conscious of that. So I say, this is what I'm doing. He says, wonderful, have fun. So and of course I account for our family dynamics and our son and all of that. I won't just leave for a month because I want to. But like this weekend, I gave myself permission to do this. I don't have to justify it. Of course, he's watching our son, so I have to tell him. but I'm an understanding, and I'm very confident in my decision. Because sometimes it's about how you share it with someone. It's not about asking for permission. It's saying, I really want to do this. How can we find a way to do this? And then you'd be surprised at the miracles that happen from that conversation.
Yeah, I love that. And the other big excuse that I hear all the time is it's too difficult. And I'm sure you hear this one as well. It's too hard. It's going to be too challenging. I don't think I have the wherewithal to do it. I just think that it's just too difficult. And if we think about this, and I tell this to people I work with all the time, joy, success, peace, love, getting to these places that we all desire takes work. And the reason it takes work is because we're conditioned to do the opposite. Yeah. We're conditioned to believe that we're going to fail about something, or we're conditioned that the relationship isn't going to work out. So we're conditioned to think that way. So to rewire and retrain ourselves, it takes work. And so when people say to me, it's too difficult, I say, what's the alternative? Because the alternative then is to, again, stay stuck and to stay stagnant. Yeah. Or we can choose to do the work. And the work doesn't have to be, pulling on our bootstraps and, getting into the mines and sweating and so on. So it doesn't have to look like that, but it is work. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's really important, because the moment people think something is going to be too hard, they don't do it.
Right.
So how do you feel about that, and what comes up for you with that?
I think it's just important in that particular scenario when someone is hard. I would take into the question of, well, let's go a year forward. What might it be like if you do this? What might it be like if you don't do this? And just give them the forward. We get so stuck in right now and how hard it is right now. Yeah. Once you have a vision forward to, okay, if I do this, can I do what's possible? Because if we're human, right? We need something to look forward to. If we can see that vision, we have that north star to walk towards.
Right.
Otherwise, hard or not hard. Yes, I think a lot of it is sort of our own definition of it. But doing work that's something like the wilderness requires. Yeah, it's work, but it's also so rewarding. I've done it myself, and it was the best and the worst. But even the worst moments, like taking off layers of myself wearing for too long. So yes, it's hard in that way, but it's harder to walk with it and to know that there's something else possible, and I'm not doing it. That's harder to me. That alternative is not okay for me.
Yeah, I so agree with that, because I think that, this comes back to the whole thing about co-creation and, being a co-creator of our lives, and we're not passive observers. We really are co-creators. And the other excuse that I hear all the time, and I would love to hear what you say about this, because this one is the most mind-boggling to me, actually, is I hear people say, well, this is just who I am. You know, it's not going to change. It's just who I am. And I have literally heard, and I'm sure you've heard this as well, I have literally heard people who will actually spend an enormous amount of energy convincing me of their limitations. They convince me, but you don't understand. You don't understand why I can't do it. And I'll sit there and I'll say, imagine if you could take that same energy that you're using to convince me that you're limited, to convince me why you can't do something, and take that same energy and put it towards possibility. I mean, think about what could be created and think about what could happen. But I think, again, you know, we're conditioned to think from that place. And so what very often happens is that we'll go into defending all of our limitations. Do you see that?
I do. You know, it's interesting. The women that come to my programs are sort of, I don't know, they're slightly in a slightly different place. They're just tired of doing things a certain way. But I know this personality because, of course, in my coaching and discovery calls, you know, I've had entire phone calls of someone telling me why they can't do one. And at some point, I think sometimes they almost talk right through it. And, you know, it's okay. I don't know, this one sort of dumbs me a little bit because I think I've been there, we've all been there defending our own limitations. And again, it's a little bit of that sort of taking them into a journey. What I love to have people visualize during phone calls. So really we start there. And once you even sense a possibility, the limitations are totally natural. I have compassionate with it for sure, because I get it. I have limitations too. But ultimately, you have partnership. You know, I don't know that so mired in that mindset is ready for that next step. You almost have to have a sense of that light of like, you know what, I see it. I hear myself, and I also see what's possible. So it's okay to see the limitations in yourself. I think it's important to see them. But I think having some awareness of them can allow you to say, okay, I wonder what would be possible if I was ready to release the limitation. I don't know how to do that. Maybe it's time to have some help. Like someone to help me walk this, right? And I'm saying walk, of course, you know, that's brilliant walk. But honestly, this work is not for everybody at all times. Would you agree? Like really not.
And everything you're saying, I'm thinking about, that's the wilderness walk. It's really walking through those places of resistance and those places where we create obstacles or we create roadblocks. Because you're right, we all do it. We all have self-doubt. We all have those times where we don't believe in ourselves or we feel something's not going to happen. But again, what I tell a lot of people who come on the wilderness walk is that we all have a built-in inner storyteller, right? And so that storyteller is really telling a story that's not based on fact, that's not based on evidence. It's based on fear. It's based on shame. It's based on self-doubt. And so what we really need to do is we really need to be able to navigate through that so that we can get to that place where we can say, oh, okay, I see this. This is just a story that I'm creating. And instead of defending the story or defending the limitations, we actually can go beyond that and say, you know what? Because it's just as likely that this could happen or this possibility could happen. And so I think that's part of the journey. And when you were using the word walk, I was like, absolutely, because we have to walk, we have to navigate, we need to trek through that in order to get to the other side, because that's where freedom lies. That's where divine alignment lies. That's where our core truth lies. But we have to walk through the muck and the mire to get there. Otherwise, we keep coming up against that wall. So really important. And the other one that I hear, and I know that you probably hear this too, is, and it goes back to a little bit about what we were saying before, but this concept of I'm not ready. And I always question what that means. What is readiness? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, when are we ever going to be ready for anything? When are we ready to have a baby? When are we ready to fall in love? When are we ready to launch a business? When are we actually ready for anything? And I love what Marie Forleo says a lot. She'll say, begin before you even think that you're ready. Just start, just do it. And I think that that's really, really crucial too, because that is a great trap of the ego. You're not ready. You're just not ready. So what do you do when you hear that? Elena, Elena, you got stuck. All right, so I'm just going to continue until she gets unstuck because I don't know why she got stuck. But that's a really big one. And I want to say to you guys that are on this call and listening is that we really need to move through this. We really need to navigate this. We really need to call ourselves out because like Elena was just saying, we are responsible. We are the captains of our own ship. It's not up to anyone else to save us. It's not up to anyone else to do it for us, but we have the ability. And one of the things that you guys can think about, and I remember this from when I took my journey, when I hiked 1,000 miles across the country, was that we all have that reservoir of courage. And the way that we know that is if you think about something that scares you, but you have no choice in the matter. It's like if you're lost in the woods, for instance, you don't have a choice but to find your way out. You know, you can't not find your way out. So you're going to do everything that you possibly can to find your way out. And that's really, really important to think about because that same courage lives within you even when you don't have to do something. But we have to tap into it. We have to be willing to go there. And that's what I know Brene Brown is talking about when she talks about cultivating courage. And in her book, Rising Strong, it's really, really about rising up when we need to. Because we all go through the dark night of the soul. We all go through those difficult periods. We all go through that at some point in our lives. But that is not meant to break us. It's meant to teach us. It's meant to show us. It's meant to guide us that we may be going in the wrong direction or that we have to make a different choice. And so I think we are all called to do this, and you are not alone. And one of the reasons why in the Wilderness Walk we have a tribe is because that we get to have that reflected back to us. We get people to show us that they too have this feeling, that they too have those limitations, that they too have been stuck. So I think right now that's what we're all called to do. We are all being called to rise up. But in order to rise up and in order to go higher, we have to go deeper. We have to go deeper. And so what I'm calling everybody to do on this call and everywhere, and if I could scream this on a mountaintop, I would, and that is to do the work. Don't be afraid to do the work. No matter where you do it, no matter what teacher you find to help you through it, no matter what community you get involved in, but do it. Don't stay stagnant. Don't stay stuck because we are being called to come alive. We are being called to come alive. And everything in our lives is directing us in that direction. You think about every day of your life of some decision, big or small, that you need to make that's pushing you or calling you out of your comfort zone. So big, you guys. And I just wanted to say, because Elena dropped off and she just sent me a message that she can't get back in. We have had the worst technical stuff with this. But what I do want to say before I end this, because I do want to end with an ending prayer for all of you guys and for myself and for the whole collective. But what I want to leave you guys with is that if any of you are feeling called to do this work, if you're feeling called in any way to come on the next Wilderness Walk with Elena and I, registration is closing on Monday, January 11th at 9 p.m. And what we wanted to offer, because we only have 2 spots left, and we really believe that the combination of what she does and what I do is going to be a magical, magical chemistry. But if you're feeling called to do it, but you're just afraid to take that leap, please reach out to us. And we're happy to talk to you about it. We're happy to give you more details about it. But I will tell you, it is an absolute life-changing journey. The people who start the journey are not the same when they end the journey. And I have had people give me testimonies over and over and over and over again that it was the single most important thing that they did, because it affects everything in their life. It affects their work, their relationships. It affects how they show up in the world. So if any of you are called to do it, what we're going to offer is that the 2 people for the 2 slots that we have left before January 11th that have listened to this webinar or the replay, that if you reach out to us and want to sign up for the Wilderness Walk, we're going to give a 20% discount, which is huge. That's equivalent to $800. And we're going to offer you guys a 20% discount because we really want to make this accessible for people. We really want people to heal. We really want people to do this work. And we really want people to show up for themselves in a big, big way. So if you're feeling called in any way, reach out to Elena, reach out to me. We could talk to you about it. And also to know that the first 2 people and the last 2 people, because there's only 2 spots left, will get that 20% discount, which is equivalent, like I said, to $800. So with that being said, and with us talking about courage and us talking about dropping excuses for 2016 and really getting into that positive forward momentum so that we can create the lives that we desire, what I want us all to do is I'm going to invite you guys just to close your eyes for a minute. And I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath. And I want you to just get connected for a moment to your life force. Get connected for a moment to your body. Breathe in as deeply as you can. And I want you to imagine that every time you breathe in, you're breathing in everything good, everything you want to create. Remember that you have the ability to create a good story. And every time you exhale, I want you to imagine that you're releasing all the limitation, that you're releasing all of the doubt. And what I want to call in the angels, the guides, the ancestors, Mother, Father, God, and everything into the space and everything into this energy, and to know that each and every one of us has the ability, has the power within us to tap into the courage, to create forward momentum, to step into who we were divinely created to be, to tap into our power. And that we each have the ability, and that there is nothing that stands in the way of that, because we live in a life of unlimited possibility, so that leaves nothing out. And I'm just going to invite you guys before we end to just breathe that in, really breathe that in, and know that there is nothing that you cannot create. There is nothing that you cannot create if you choose to, have the willingness to, the discipline to, the commitment to. And Elena and I really want to support you on that journey. So if you feel called in any way to join us, please reach out. And I am putting out into the universe, because these words are already going out and being made manifest, that each and every one of us will tap into the courage, that we will show others how to do that as well, and that we will create the lives that we want. So thank you guys so much for coming on. Thank you for being here with us. I'm sorry that Elena dropped out. We've had a lot of technical glitches, but for whatever reason, we are still coming back and still talking about this and still teaching this because we believe in it that much. So thank you guys. And until the next time, have a great week and a great, great 2016.